This weekend, I played an Elite Cup and a League Challenge and earned myself a second place finish at both with a Mew VMAX list that was, well, this is a 59 card list if you guys are counting, but I made a 1 card change in between the 2 days, and it netted me a second place finish at both. Hey guys, my name is Rahul, Reddy, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about Best of 1, why Mew VMAX is still pretty much the king of the format, an S tier deck, and how I was able to get 2 second place finishes at a League Challenge and a League Cup. So, I was playing a couple of tournaments, and Best of 1 was rolling around. I played Gardevoir at UIC, and after that I was kind of trying to figure out what was good, what was bad. So I played 2 League Cups last weekend, and on the first one I played Lost Zone, like Turbo Lost Zone Box, and went an astounding 1-4. In Best of 1, the deck felt very fair. You lose the flip, some things can go wrong, a path judge that isn't in your favor, you don't find those Seal Stones early, no Colossus early. Feels hard. The game feels really hard. So I said maybe Lost Box isn't for me. And the next day I decided, hey, let's try Gardevoir is the deck that did well for me at UIC. Myself and 3 others played the same 60 at like a almost 60-person League Cup. John finished finals, George or Goof got top 8, and then me and Will Jenkins went 4-2, and I bubbled points. I bubbled 20 points by getting 19th with Gardevoir, and it just came down to small things, me whiffing. I didn't think Gardevoir necessarily was bad, but it needed a lot of pieces to keep moving, and I was a little bit conflicted on what to do. That evening, I gave Chris Franco a ride home, and he was telling me that, you know, consistent Mew is a very good deck. People should just be playing consistent Mew. I don't know why people aren't playing consistent Mew in Best of 1. And so I took his list. This is his 60-card list. I played the exact 60 that he played, which is a 4 Seal Stone added here as the third one for my League Challenge. The Cleansing Gloves was also a Choice Belt. Let's break down the list real quick before I jump into League Challenge so you guys get an idea for why it's quote-unquote consistent. You're just playing 4 Mew, 4 Genesect, which are, you cannot have a bad starter there because they're both the only Pokemon in your deck you need. There's 4 copies of Judge because Judge Path is a combination that wins a lot of games, especially in Best of 1, when you're just forcing your opponent to miss a turn, miss a beat, something. 3 Boss's Orders plus a Pal Pad, giving you a way where you don't prize a boss if you play 1 boss, or 2 boss, sorry, that could lose you the game. Roxanne for Roxanne Path towards the end of the game. 4 tablets, 4 VIP, 4 Cram, 4 Ultra Ball, and 4 Vacuum. Vacuum being the best way to get rid of your own path. Just get rid of your pesky tools, maybe. So you don't get bricked by a Path Judge or something. 2 Feather, 2 Nest, just pure consistency. Feather getting you the Mew VMAX and the Mew V. Nest getting you the other Genesects as well. 2 Rope, 1 Switch card, just switching cards, and Rope is also really good to put your opponents in awkward situations. 3 Forest Seal Stone, this list showing 2, but I played 3. Giving you access to that 1 get out of jail free card turn where you need it. 1 Choice Belt, 1 Cleansing Gloves. Choice Belt is useful in most situations, but Cleansing Gloves is very good against Comfies and Guardies. Specifically to have that plus 30 when you're Psychic Leaping or doing something of that nature. So Cleansing Gloves can be useful in those 2 matchups. So I didn't feel like that was too much of a deterrent of the inclusion. And 4 Double Turbo Energy, which is the backbone and the butter of the deck. At the League Challenge I showed up to, it was 6 rounds. There was about 40-something players, giving us a 6-round League Challenge. Round one I played against, I don't remember. But I won 1-0 pretty quickly. I just remember Path Judge stuck, and I didn't have too much trouble. Round 2, I played against Charlie Kerr, playing Gardevoir, and Charlie actually had like the most insane turn 3 of a Guardian I'd seen in a long time, and almost was able to one-shot me with Zacian Sealstone. And I like breathed a sigh of relief that he missed, but he still did 300 damage to my Mew VMAX, so I was able to go to my other Mew VMAX, take the knockout on the Zacian, and Path Judge at the same time, putting myself, I think, at 2 prizes remaining, maybe 3 prizes, and Charlie needed to still put some legwork in and take the last remaining prizes, and he was not able to get there. I leapt my damaged Mew as well in onto a Gardevoir, a Shining Arcana Gardevoir he used to try to hit into me, and I was able to just basically seal up the game that way. Round 3, I went up against Mew Mirror, and I won the flip, so I was able to basically able to go 2-2-2, just chasing 2 prizers all the way through the board. Rope being very useful in that regard in the early game because you don't have to burn a boss, and I had a 4 Seal Stone for the end of the game, so it made it so I never really would miss because I had 2 Mew VMAXs on board with the double turbos. So I just never was going to miss. And my opponent also tried to respond with the 2-2-2. I do think in Mew Mirror, if you're going second, one of the best lines to do is probably just hit into the VMAX, let your opponent get down to 2, knock out the VMAX and Path Roxanne in the same turn, and just make your opponent have the piece that they need. And in Mew Mirror, if I'm playing 4 Vacuum, they can't just haphazardly put down Seal Stones without using it because I can just get rid of their Seal Stones as well in those scenarios. So it gives me a little bit more agency with the amount of Vacuums that I play. Round 4, I played against Hunter, playing or it was like a Kyogre Lost Zone box, like 4 Recycler, very focused on Kyogre and Zamazenta. And I drew past for the first 4 turns, and he had a lot of really awkward flower selects, but it put himself in a position where he was actually able to do something, and I ended up losing the game because I had like 3 prizes or 2 prizes remaining, and I needed Hunter to miss a Clara for like all of those turns, and that was not happening. His deck was very, very thin, like 10 or 11 cards remaining. He just needed to get back into Sableye, and I lose the game, which is exactly what happened. The next round, I went up against another Gardevoir, I want to say, and this time the game ended much quicker because it was just a Path Judge Fiesta, and the game it was a Lost Zone box. It was a Lost Zone box that I Path Judged in the early game, knocked out. They didn't open Comfey, so I just knocked out what they opened, took out their Comfey the second turn. They went into Raikou, or benched Raikou to try to Fleet Foot and play the game. I took out the Raikou, and then I think 4 prizes were taken before they were even able to do like a Drapion response or anything. And at that point, the game was already over. In the final round, I went up against Mew Mir. I won the flip. I basically did the 2-2-2 strategy perfectly. My opponent, I was actually really nervous towards the end of the game because my opponent could have vacuumed my lone Sealstone and then Roxanne pathed me all at the same time. And there was a pretty good world where I just don't draw out of it and I lose off the back of that. Like they're going to a 6-card hand, plus hitting into my Mew VMAX, I believe, at that turn. So there was a really good chance they could have just won the game off the back of that. And so I was like sitting there sweating bullets that my Sealstone would get. Like if it got knocked off, I couldn't just go get the boss and win the game that turn. I would have to kind of get it off of my hand, and my hand was like Judge and like a dead card, I think. So it would have come off to the top deck, which, yeah. So I went 5-1. I got second on tiebreakers, which was really cool, but I was guaranteed top 4, which is championship points. And then I decided, Mew is still good. I might as well take it to the cup on Saturday. Guardy was my other choice. Guardy has been like a fan favorite for me. So I take it to this Tampa League Cup. There was a lot of Mew. There was a lot of Mew Mir, and I was debating on a 60th slot because I did not think that Sealstone was needed, a third Sealstone. So I cut the third Sealstone, and I was debating between a Collapsed, an Echoing Horn, and an Oricorio. And I ended up settling on Oricorio just because I felt like it was another Pokemon that would help me draw cards. It offsets the prize trade in the Mew Mir if they don't have a rope exactly on turn 2 or a boss exactly on turn 2 while drawing their cards. It's also like weird for good numbers in the Mew Mir where you force them to have a modifier to knock out a Genesect rather than give them a free Genesect. So I figured maybe today was a good Oricorio day and people weren't expecting it. And it paid off. In the first round, I hit Mew Mir, and that round, the Oricorio came in handy where my opponent could not take a free knockout on Genesect and instead had to put it at 170. And I ended up getting to switch carded out and then start the 2-2-2 prize trade despite going second. And because I was able to initiate, I was able to kind of carry the 2-2-2 all the way through. The next round, I also hit Mew Mir once again, and my opponent opened 1 Genesect, 1 Mew, attached to Mew Pass, going second. And so I had the boss kill on the Mew. They once again put a Mew back down and judged. I had the boss again on the Mew, and at that point it was lights out because they couldn't get more than 1 Mew down. We both had pretty bad starts with no VIP passes, but my start was like Mew, Genesect, Genesect, and I got to go first, which, if that was my start going second and they got the boss on my Mew, it's like a very similar situation where you're cooked. But I was very fortunate in that scenario that didn't happen to me, and it happened to my opponent. Round 3, I went up against Guja with double Drapion, and I thought I was pretty in an unfortunate spot. I took the first knockout on a Comfey, and then my opponent came up and took a Drapion knockout for 3. I was able to go Path Judge, take the Drapion knockout. They hit into me with like a Cram or something. I took a knockout. No, I didn't take a knockout on what was in their active because I was really scared of Drapion getting KO'd. And then something else happened. I was able to dig for the boss. I bossed up their Guja on the bench. I knocked it out. We were down both at 1-1 prize cards. My opponent has 1 Drapion gone in the discard, 1 in the lost zone, and I'm sitting here thinking about all the Clara plays, like what could happen. And I don't have another Mew on the bench to actively readily attack because I prized my 3rd VMAX. So I'm put in a situation where I have to retreat into a Mew, boss up like the Greninja. My opponent has a 2-card hand, and I'm like, pass. You need to have like Clara, Stadium, like Clara, Beach Court, boss, and I'm like, you can't physically have those 3 cards all at once to do what you need to do to win the game this turn. And my opponent did not have it, and he conceded. He like benched Guja attached to it, and I just attached. He benched Guja attached to it. Then he bossed up my Genesect and passed, and then I just attached a DTE. My 4th DTE and retreated. I think it was pretty telegraphed that my last VMAX was prized. I guess my last DT could have been prized like the way I telegraphed it, because I left the Mew in the active. So I guess I could have prized the DTE as well, and that was a win con. But I think I still had a rope or a switch cart left, so I was not going to deck. And I had like a pop pad left, so I was going to just wait till I could put the boss back in and do that play, I guess. My opponent said the next turn he had boss, his third boss plus Mirage Gate, so he could have gone into Mirage Gate and just popped me and taken the prizes. Because I think, yeah, so anyway, I go to 3-0, and then 3-0 to 3-0-2, I just double ID to put myself in the top cut. I'm now in top 8. The first round is up against Zach, who's playing Gardevoir. In the first game, I open a pretty much dud hand. He has a turn to Candy Guardian Knockout on my lone Mew. Game 2, it's just me path judging him, and Zach doesn't really get anything off the ground. I take like a knockout, I like boss knockout of Curlia, in the first 2 turns, and then so he's left with a big Gardevoir and then a baby Gardevoir, and then he goes into the Zacian but does not have enough for the knockout, so I kill the Zacian and the game is pretty much over. The third game, Zach actually gets super, super deep into his deck, and I make a really, really greedy play, because I take the first 2, he does something, and I make a really greedy play where I boss the Gardevoir EX, because my hand is like cram item, boss, tablet, and like 2 other dud cards. And so I go cram the first one, tails, cram the second time, get heads. So now I have 2 tablets. So I go tab, boss, bring up the Gardevoir EX, and I have Cleansing Gloves on the board already. So I'm thinking if I hit one more modifier, I go down to 2 prize cards. He has 6 remaining. So in this situation, he has to go Zacian Sealstone to knock me out. And if he goes Zacian Sealstone, then I win the game automatically because I have another Mew VMAX to win the game. And that's what's going through my mind. But if I whiff here, he can attach he can do ability, attach, retreat, and still pop me. And he's got like a 12 card hand now. So I know that next turn, no matter what happens, I'm going to get Zacian Sealstoned for sure. Like next turn, Zacian Sealstone is like almost a guarantee about what's going to happen to me. I do my first Genesect draw, no tap. Burn like an Ultra Ball and I think like a Nest Ball or something. Or maybe like just Ultra Ball and like a Feather maybe. And so I draw another 4. Not there. It's another Ultra Ball and like a Choice Belt or something. So I put them both onto the board and I'm sitting here like, please, there's no way I whiff this. I have both Sealstone left in deck. I have both tablets left in deck. I didn't use a single tablet up to this point. And my deck is like 12 cards. And so I do the last draw. I hit the stone. I stone for the third tablet. I tablet, get the knockout on the Gardevoir. And at this point, it's pretty much checkmate because Zach can't do anything. And I win the set. But I was a super greedy play. I think I could have just been safe, judged. I could have rope judged, forcing up a Curlia, taking the Curlia knockout, leaving Zach with 1 Curlia. No, I killed a Mew, I killed Greninja. So leaving Zach with 2 Curlias and a Gardevoir. And I think he only had 6 energy in the discard at this point in time, maybe 7. So he would have needed to find more pieces off the judge, put them into the discard, find another way to bump the path to the peak. He was already down Worker, and I believe it collapsed. So he needed to find another way to bump the path to the peak, and then, yeah. So super close. I totally almost griefed it. And then the game I ended up winning the following turn because Zach went in with the big Gardevoir and attacked into my Mew. And then I played Sinnoh, and I just attached a second double turbo to the one that had Cleansing Gloves and dropped my 4th and final tablet to get to 270 because Sinnoh gets rid of the reduction of damage as well on my double turbo. So then I go into top 4 where I play against Arc Reggie Drago. Game 1, I just bossed the Arc on turn 2 going first, and I win the game. Game 2, I path stick myself, which kind of sucked because he had Choice Belt Rolling Iron every turn, and I couldn't beat through the Reggie Drago. I think I took 1 prize, maybe 2 prizes, and I lost that. And then game 3, my opponent was in a really good spot, and I'm sitting there turn after turn with a dead hand. He's got a dead hand. He's top decking it. I'm going like boss up a bench Drago or a bench Arceus that he has nothing on it, and just smack with Mew. And the following turn, I'm thinking I smack here, I retreat, I droplets on the board, I droplets to the Drago that he's rolling ironing with, or I droplets that turn, and then I boss it back up because my hand was like triple boss or something ridiculous. I'm like, I'm just gonna do this because I don't have modifiers. I can't take the knockout on the active anyway, so I'm just gonna Glistening Droplets, take that 1 big KO, and his board is completely devoid of anything. And then he draws out of it. He draws like a switch, hits me. He's like, a 1-card hand, top decks per turn, escape rope, hits me. And I'm just like, this is so bad for me. I'm in such a bad spot. Like, and then there's a turn of the game where my opponent can just win, or not win, but like I think effectively put himself in a really, really good position by he top decks Mesagoza. and he slams the Messagoza, and he finally gets to use Starbirth. And all he has to do is grab Volo and Boss for the following turn. He just goes Volo this turn, gets rid of the Arc on his board, gets rid of my win condition, and he does not do that. He does not get the Volo. He does not make the play he needs to make. And I'm sitting there breathing a huge sigh of relief because I did not have a way to beat through the remaining Drago because he's been getting the switch. He's been getting the rope. He's been rolling ironing me every turn for 230. And I lost my Orc Warrior pretty early, so it's like I'm in a really, really rough spot. And so I almost lost to Arc Reggie Drago. Really cool deck, really good guy. And so then, yeah, I win top 4 very undeservedly, mind you. And so now I'm in finals, and I'm sitting here like I shouldn't even be in finals. I should have lost that set like very often. My opponent, yes, top decked 3 times to get out of it, but I still should have lost that set. And so finals, I'm up against Tyson. Game 1 comes out. He's playing Lost Zone Sky Seal Stone version, which I was hoping would not be a thing, but that's because that's a terrible matchup from you. Game 1, Tyson does not end up playing. I'm draw passing, he's draw passing, but he's selecting. And so I think it's like his first chorus gets him to 10 in the discard, or 10 in the Lost Zone. And at this point, it's kind of doomed for me, but I get down to 1 prize. And Tyson has 4. And off the judge, he hits like Chorus into Beach Court, Sealstone, like Drapion. But his deck was like 15 cards, if that. Like, he was going to see a majority of it. And he only played like 2 Chorus at this point. So, like, it was a pretty high likelihood he finds the other Chorus as well, because they're probably in the deck. So, really unlucky for me that he was able to find that at the end of the game. I feel like I probably could have like boss leaped instead of judging, maybe left no VMAXs in play, and then just never given him the 4 prize turn to win the game. So I definitely think I messed up game 1. Like, in my mind, I like did not know which version he was playing. I should have been paying attention. So I threw game 1. Game 2, my judge path stuck long enough, and I was able to take it. It actually came down to the last turn and the wire where like he slammed a Drapion early to take 3. And so if he had Clara plus Stadium Bump, he could have just won the game. And the last turn, I could not bump his Stadium. So I was really, really scared when I Roxanne and did not have a path. And I was like, oh, no, I'm going to lose. And then he did not find the Clara, fortunately. And I was able to win that one because he already used 1 Clara. And then the third game, everything that could have gone right for Tyson went right. He got the turn like 3 Drapion Sky Seal Stone to pop my Mew VMAX. I'd only taken like 1 prize at this point, I think. So like, and then I pathed Roxanne, I think. And then my 6 Roxanne cards were like dead. And so I just conceded at that point. There's nothing I could have done. The game was pretty much over. I couldn't even knock out Drapion. And the game had ended. So really the worst case scenario for me in game 3, but I shouldn't have even been finals. Definitely messed up game 1 of finals. But again, top 4 was a wash. Should not have been there. Plus 50 points, or 52, I guess, putting me at 1,012. Should be locked for top 16. Should be securing my trip to Japan. And with that, thank you guys for watching. Let me know how you guys are doing at your League Cups or challenges. I'd love to hear what's going on with you guys and your locals. So let me know in the comments below. So thank you, and peace out, everyone.